Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from around the world, talking with makers from around the world. Here's Jamie Page, Steve Twidell, Chris Cute, and now your host, Richard Morley.
Shut up, we're starting. Are we ready? Are we good? Hello! Steve, shut up. Shut up. Wherever you are, Steve, whatever you're doing, shut up because we're starting the show.
What?
Joined with me, as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
Happy New Year, Richard.
Mr. Steve Twidell.
Happy New Year, Richard.
Jamie Page.
I'm not going to be an arse. Hello, everybody.
And our special guest this evening, Mr. Rob Summerlin. How you getting on, Rob?
Happy New Year to everybody. I'm doing good, thanks. How are you all doing?
So
Really
Rob's
good.
been an arse to everybody.
Better
Did
now.
Did you see our pop-up podcast last week?
Who, me?
Me? I don't know what you're talking about.
You've never heard of the podcast?
Yes,
till now.
I watched it.
I didn't even know you guys got together and did one. What's all this about? I'll be back with you in just a couple of ticks, Rob. Presumably you've seen some of our podcasts. If you haven't, I just go through a little bit of housekeeping, a few shout outs, etc. And then we'll be straight. Well, Steve will actually probably be straight back to you because normally we have a difficulty getting him shut up anyway. And because you're obviously good friends with him, I'm guessing he's going to lead the show, but we'll see what happens. So very quickly, a few shout outs, etc. from last week. And they go to Alan Scannell, Harneal Media, Andrew McQuillan and Jim Dockrell. As always, this evening's podcast is brought to you by our good friend Yorkshire Grit, the Woodturns Breakfast Paste, our good friend Chad over at Mancrafting, Pam from Highland Boxes, and Steve Harneal from Harneal Media, who kind of helps us out with the website, etc., which Jamie sorts out. If you want to find out more about both our sponsors and whatever stuff Jamie's putting on there, like giveaways, etc., visit the website at makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors. And Jamie, have you got anything new on there exciting to tell people about, or is it just the usual stuff?
The only stuff that we've got on there that's of really any relevance at the moment is we've still got the t-shirts available, which is the Makers Rhapsody shirts.
Oh, mamma mia,
Yeah, them ones. And we've also got the sticker discounts. So if you're going to Maker Central, or even if you're not, you got a chance of getting £20 discount or at checkout off your stickers. So there's a link for that over on the website as well.
Okay. It's not actually just a chance to get it off. You actually get £20 off the...
Yeah, you actually get £20 off. Yeah, off the final checkout price.
So,
Oh, it's not one of them fake things. Cool.
that's an actual... It's not even like a
No.
chance to win. You don't like a giveaway prize type thing. You use the link and you get 20 off.
Everybody's entitled to it.
Wicked. Right, so
Awesome.
that is that. Chris, do we have any random listener questions from the interweb?
We do. And it's kind of a funny one. It's a two-part question, so I'll go with this. I'll go with this. Jamie, you may be the only one that gets to be excluded, though I don't know, because women like to start in early, and maybe even girlfriends start with this. But I know
Jamie a woman.
No.
That's what I heard.
No, Jamie
That's what I
has.
heard.
Don't let these breasts fool you.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyways, two-part question here, gentlemen, because I know Steve has a better half. Richard, I know you have a better half. Rob, I know you do too, as well as I do. And Jamie, you just have commitment issues. But that's
I don't know. I've met Vicky, and I'd say she's definitely the better half of Jamie.
sure.
Yeah. Except she gets a little bit confused on the phone
especially when
sometimes.
Steve phones her on. She thinks it's me.
I've never met Vicky, and I fully believe she's the better half.
I've never met her, but I've spoken to her on the phone. She's very nice.
You don't need to have met her. You've met Jamie, haven't you, Chris?
I have met Jamie,
Well,
so
there you go.
That's my whole point. Is that I have no doubt.
You've got the benchmark. It's not hard.
The bar, the bar
Everything's
was set low
higher
to
after
begin with.
that.
Yeah, the bar was set low to begin with. Anyway, gentlemen, the question is honeydew lists. Steve, Richard, Rob, myself, do you, and Jamie, I guess, do you guys receive the honeydew list from the significant other?
I have a very large list now. Since,
Richard?
Christmas.
Oh yes.
Rob?
Oh, yes.
Yes, occasionally. Not all the time though, but occasionally she'll throw a list at me.
We should all be married to your wife. Yes, I have an ongoing honeydew list. And the second part of that question is, all right, guys, what do you think would happen if we wrote out a list and handed it to them and said, here you go, I need to get these things done? Hey, you know what? It's the whole, let's be equal thing. But
Absolutely, I agree.
What if we gave our better halves a honey-do list and said, here, honey, I need you to get these done for me? What do you think would happen? That's the question.
There's a list and there's a fist right behind it.
Yeah. And well, I guess there's a three-part to this one because he finished it with, would you dare to even try that?
Hell no.
The answer is no. Not a chance in hell would I ever give my wife a list and go, here, honey, I need this done by the end of the week, if you don't mind.
It would become a competition, I think.
Yeah, I would get the look.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I would. No, my wife would look at me and go, yeah, wake up. Who are you sleeping with tonight? So anyway, that was the question, and I thought it was rather humorous, so I figured I'd throw it out there. Anyway, that was it, Richard. That was the honey-do list reversed, and how well do you think it would work? And the answer is, I think it would be like a firecracker in a bomb factory.
Well, as terrible ideas go, Chris, I think that really rates up there with some of them.
It reminds me of the old saying, when a woman says, correct me if I'm wrong, do not, under any, and I mean any circumstances, do it.
never correct her. And it's the same thing when she goes, does my butt look fat in these jeans? No, honey.
Yeah.
No, honey, it sure doesn't. Looks wonderful.
Yeah.
That size 40 looks good on you, baby. Don't worry.
And could I just say that I'm all for the Me Too movement. Congratulations. Well done.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Rock on, girls. Go for it. Woman power. Woo-hoo. Anyway, crack on, Richard.
Yeah, just really lead me into that one, won't you, Chris?
Sorry about that.
Thanks.
Gotta work on those segues.
Yes.
I'm going to try and segue this one. It's the last thing we want to do is start upsetting people. So, Steve, just be quiet for a minute. So you're here. We'll talk to you. And I don't really know where to start because, as I said to you before we went on air, I mean, I know very little about you. You live in Canada. You used to live in Luton.
That's right.
Presumably is part and parcel of the reason why you now live in Luton.
Luton Airport, mate.
Luton Airport.
I'm a little bit confused though, to be honest with you. I bought this pod because I thought we were doing some podcasting today. I don't know. I got my resin and my mold and everything, and this pod that I bought. Is that not what we're doing?
Go ahead and cast it anyway.
That's exactly what we should do. Go and get your mold and your resin, and you can cart. That would be a podcast first.
I have to say this. To be honest with you, I would be very surprised if Rob was actually joking there because he knows nothing about anything online or technological.
I picked this off a tree. It's bone dry. It'd be perfect for the occasion. I've got one for each.
We'll tell you where you can stick that later on, mate.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, if anyone listening hadn't already worked this out, it's probably down to me to spell it out. That Rob, you actually know. I sympathise. I genuinely sympathise. If this needs to turn into some kind of therapy session, then I'm all for that to happen. But you actually know Steve.
Who?
The other idiot in the hat at the end there, the one that won't shut up. But not only do you know him from recently, you've known him for years, haven't you?
Yes. I could tell you my very first memory of that man. He would have probably been about 7 years old. And he was in a fight.
Does this make Steve look good, or is he going to look bad?
Oh no, it makes me look really bad.
Yeah,
Excellent.
he was in a fight, but he was laying on the ground with this kid on top of him, and he was just red in the face and losing.
Dramatically, I might add.
That was probably my first memory, and the last one too, I think. But the first memory of Steve.
My first memory of Rob is lying on the ground with another kid on top of me, getting the shit kicked out of me, and looking across at him, going, "You bastard! You could come over and help."
So did you help, or did you just? I think you suffered
did
enough.
him.
I'll give him a couple of minutes.
It was probably very short-lived because they were 7 years old. What are you going to do?
and that's Rob as a 7-year-old having that kind of logic and going, they're both 7. How long can this possibly last? Why should I jump in?
Very, very matter of fact. I had to process the whole thing and come up with a decision.
And that's where Rob decided he wanted to be a content creator.
I'm very mature for my age, thank you.
But we took that and molded our entire friendship on that kind of event. There was a similar event that happened in a parking lot when we were at about 18, I think.
Yeah.
I take it you didn't jump in there either, Rob.
No, I didn't. I stayed out of that one too.
That's what true friendship's all about. You guys really are solid.
I think
you're very, very rapidly coming across as that friend what stays on the sidelines and videos the goings on.
It's funny you should say that, because I did have a video camera. How old would we have been, Steve, when I got that video camera?
Are you talking about the little movies we made?
Yeah, the little movies you made, the plasticine and the lamp that was committing suicide, and the radio. And
we were actually really young and immature, and I think I was probably married at the time.
You might have been married. We had the leprechaun. Yeah. We had the basket on our heads. Oh yeah.
That was in our first apartment, first flat in Luton. Yeah,
you're right.
We did this. We did a video, a short animated video of a lamp. One not too unfamiliar than the one behind me, which is one of those
like bouncing on a beach ball or something like that, was it?
No, and
it had a bendy rod thing, and it could look around.
Looked around and it moved, and it walked towards the windowsill, and it opened the window, and it jumped out and killed itself.
No, because you saved it. You saved it, and then
that's right.
Then you were cradling it in your arms. I've still got the footage.
There wasn't drink involved, honestly. There wasn't actually. There wasn't any drink.
We don't believe that, even if it is true.
I want to see the video.
Well,
what copyright issues there are? I want to see that.
I can make that happen.
We've been discussing that behind the scenes, myself and Rob, about maybe another YouTube channel of Rob and Steve.
The footage is in there, actually. I'm pretty sure. It's in there.
So it sounds like not only have you known Steve for quite a while now, but you've also made, both of you actually, and it's all coming out now, Steve. You've been making various things for a fair old while. You're into wood turning as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I am now. When we were younger, I didn't, but it was 2013 was when I started wood turning.
Oh, right. Okay.
We want to get onto that subject, do we?
Well, I guess it was a logical assumption to mismake there that you've known Steve for a long time. You've been seems like you've been making a long time.
Well, when you talk about making, and me and Steve as mates, we did a lot of, I guess, making back then, because we had cars that we were making and fixing and building.
Like making bad decisions mostly.
Well, we had a what was it? A 1972 Morris Mini that we rebuilt, and it had an 850cc engine in, and we put a 1 liter engine in, and we drove that thing around, sitting in the back seat with no windows, no doors on, and everything like that. Because why wouldn't you?
Well, that wasn't any different. Wasn't any different to what I was doing at the time. But yeah, it would have been different for Rob.
But yeah, and then anyway, I ended up giving that car to you when I'm not sure when, but you drove it for a little while, and then ended up, I think you drove it to the crash derby or something, didn't you?
Okay. So the Mini that you rebuilt, you literally re-welded every joint on it and panel on it, I believe. I seem to remember.
Yeah,
and then you gave it to me, and then the engine died, because you always had a few problems with that engine from kind of day one. It kind of was a little bit dodgy.
Yeah.
And I took
right.
it to the MOT, which is like the test that you have to get here or there in the UK. You have to take it for a roadworthiness test called the MOT, and it failed miserably on welding, funnily enough. And so I transplanted the engine back out of that, and I put it into my minivan that I had at the time, and drove that for a while. And then, yes, I raced the minivan in the little mini stocks for about a year. It did very well. Yeah.
So you used to drive in like a demolition derby racing?
I was a demolition derby driver for 6 years. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
For a team called the Crunch Bunch from North Wales.
How fun is that? I mean, and Steve, I totally buy that, because I mean, if any one of us here on the panel today is going to go out and literally try to destroy something, it would be you.
Oh yeah,
it would be you. Let's go crash something.
Just give me a hammer.
That sounds like
actually, speaking of destroying things, I did the impossible today. I destroyed a hammer.
Oh jeez. I take it you missed the nail.
No, I tried to lever something that really couldn't be levered by that hammer.
Well, you've got a different angle of attack for, it's for special occasions. Just put that away.
Banging nail heads around corners.
Yeah, it's really handy now.
You'll find a use for it somewhere, Steve.
Oh God.
Yeah, try wood turning it.
Yep.
I mean, why have you been hanging around with this guy for so long, Rob? Honestly,
We became best mates. I mean, we actually didn't really hang out until we were about 18. And when did we go to Tenerife, Steve? When was that was in 89, I think.
I think so, about that.
I think it was like shortly. We'd only known each other a little while, maybe a year or so, and we decided that we should do a trip. So we went to Tenerife, the Canary Islands, off the coast of Africa. And that was kind of like a pinnacle moment in both our lives. We just loved it. It was such a fantastic getaway from we were both working, both living at home with mum and dad at the time. And it was like the ultimate getaway. And we had an awful lot of fun, took a lot of pictures. I don't think there's any video of that, though. But I don't think there is.
No.
I don't know why.
Some
but
good pictures, though.
Some great pictures.
I think there's pictures of me sleeping in the cupboard above your bed, is there?
Oh, there's all kinds of stories there, mate. Yeah.
Well, you've got to explain that now, obviously. You can't let that one go.
That was a challenge. You know me and challenges.
Why you did that? I don't know why you did that. We were collecting. We had a little collection of weird things for some reason. And I think you ended up sleeping on that little collection of things, and you wondered what that was digging in your side all night long. But you decided.
The story was we got. Sorry, Rob. We came back after having quite a few refreshing beverages, and and I said to Rob, "Do you know what? I'm going to challenge myself to sleep in that cupboard tonight,
up there
above your bed." So I did.
You did. You did.
I'm sorry to say this, but Rob, you're a brave man, because there's no way in hell I would let a drunk person sleep above me on any evening. It's because I don't want Jamie's famous golden shower in the middle of my snooze. It's just not going to happen.
That wasn't even a consideration.
How did both of you come up with the Love of Elvis?
We didn't come up with it. We just love it.
Well, what do you mean? Come up with it? Everybody loves Elvis.
Was it just a coincidence that you both loved Elvis?
Well, it wasn't just Elvis. It's not just Elvis. It's a lot of different music.
Elvis really stands out for both of you.
Well, it does, because he's the king of rock and roll. But there's a lot of other people out there that fit into that whole music scenario. When we were first hanging out and driving around, we're talking about, we just got cars, we just got licenses, we're just driving around for the first time, we got our first job, and everything's a first, right? But we were listening to music that really our parents grew up with, because that's what we grew up listening to, our parents' music a lot of the, so listening to the Beatles and Elvis and the Stones and all that kind of music was nothing new to us, I mean.
Wait a minute, wait, hold on. And you're telling me that was your parents' music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, I feel old. Fucking heck.
Chris,
Well,
it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
You are old.
Wow. I should just embrace it, shouldn't I, Steve? I should.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, that music rapidly became like the soundtrack to our lives, I mean, there's so many classic tunes, so many classic tunes from the 50s and the 60s. We were listening to a lot of that stuff. But Elvis, he was the king of rock and roll, like the best that there was in our opinions. And we both agreed on that. And we ended up going to Memphis.
Awesome. I got a quick question for you, because I mean, you guys are both obviously very familiar with Elvis. What's your favorite song by Elvis?
Who, me?
Yeah.
There's too many really to mention. Because
does one stick out as like I could listen to that like right now?
Well, the first thing that stuck out was Mary in the Morning.
Okay.
And that's a ballad. But the thing is with Elvis, there's eras like the Beatles. There's the 50s rock and roll. There's the 70s with the jumpsuits and everything. There's
Viva Las
country.
Vegas age, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's blues. There's country. There's so many different eras of Elvis. And there's just too many that do hang out. The Wonder of You is amazing. Suspicious Mind is amazing. Like, there's a ton of music, and it's a lot of good stuff.
Steve, do you have one?
I don't have. Well, I have one particular song just because of a reason, and that's I'm leaving. I'm leaving. But
Rags to Riches.
Well, Rags to Riches as well. There's a lot, but I mean, I like his early stuff. I love the 50s and the real raspy, unedited, proper rock and roll Elvis. I like all that original stuff and the whole sound of the guitar and the piano and all that. I just love all that kind of stuff, So that's kind of. But stick Elvis on and I listen to it, whatever song it is.
See, mine's in my favorite, and this sticks out huge to me because I there's a lot of Elvis that I do like, but the one that I got to tell you is my favorite is In the Ghetto.
Yeah.
Jamie, are you
there's a story there.
I've got footage of Steve singing that a cappella.
Oh, really? I mean, what a great
Memphis.
that's just it's about lyrics
in Memphis, no doubt.
Yeah.
In Memphis, he was singing that. Yeah, sorry.
Awesome.
So Steve was singing an Elvis Presley song in Memphis
at the Hound Dog Cafe.
Yeah.
Across the road from Memphis, across the road from Graceland. Sorry.
And you chose that. And you chose that song, Steve. I'm very impressed with you. Okay, you can come back next week.
See, I've just got it in my head that was the scene in my head is just him doing it to take the mickey out of the scene. I mean, I know that's not the case because you're both huge Elvis fans, but knowing well, you two being such huge Elvis fans, but I could imagine Steve with his personality and knowing Steve as I do in the limited capacity, that he would do that just to take the mickey, not for any other reason.
No.
Well, I did I messed it up.
You screwed up at the end. You lost.
Well, that goes without saying, no doubt.
Yeah,
I can see Steve going, thank you very much.
I think I did actually.
Elvis has left the building.
There might have been alcohol involved with that too. Yeah, there's a lot of footage in that little passport box there, Rob.
Yep.
All right, off of Elvis. On to something else.
So you traveling companions.
Yeah, a lot of miles.
A lot of road trips.
School chums. Do
you remember when we were leaving Luton to go to London and we went north? Steve.
Yes.
We went the wrong way.
That would be the wrong way. Yeah,
completely the wrong way for anyone that doesn't know.
Yes.
Because there's a road in Luton, or that runs just past Luton, called the M1, which basically takes you to London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Scotland.
Or Scotland, yeah. It was a 50-50, and you chose Scotland.
Yeah, something like that.
Why not? Why not?
Talk about misreading the road sign there.
Couldn't work out why we couldn't find London, though.
What should have been a 45-minute drive turned into a 4-hour and 50-minute
We actually stopped. We said, excuse me, mate. You don't know where London is? And the guy turned around and said, I didn't even know what the crap you're talking about, man.
It is Scotland.
Do you want some haggis? Do you want some Too funny.
So what made you leave Luton? I mean, there's obviously a few things that could make you leave Luton or want to leave Luton. But
Me.
You're now living in Canada?
In Canada, yeah.
Whereabouts in Canada are you?
Just outside of Windsor, Ontario, which is near Detroit. It's a border. The entire Canada is border city. Everything borders the US.
Yeah.
The rest of Canada is barren wasteland. There's nothing there. So we're near Detroit. So the southernmost tip is pretty much where we're at. My dad moved here in '87 for work, and in the subsequent years, Mum and Dad decided that they would move here. So when I was, how old would I have been? 19, 20, I guess 19 or 20. Dad says, well, son, you've got a choice. He says, you can either move out or you can come with us. We're moving to Canada. And I says, oh, I'm coming with you. So I wasn't ready to move out at that time. I came to Canada when I was 18. Would I have been 18? No, 17, as a vacation. And I thought it was amazing. It was really cool. So there was no question about moving over here at all.
And so you and Steve being best mates, Steve automatically said, "I'm coming too," but he could only afford the trip to Ireland, and you just kept going to Canada.
That's right. He had to get off Ireland, and then there's a long story there too, right? Because I moved here in '92, and we had to wait until Steve's wedding. After Steve's wedding, what was your wedding? The 5th of September.
Yep, 5th of September '92. Yep.
September 5th, 92, and we moved to Canada on the 12th of September 92. We had to wait until Steve got married. And the bastard didn't even choose me as his best man. That's it. I'm not talking to you anymore.
No.
Anyway, I totally understand because he had other friends before me, but not anymore.
Proper friends, yeah.
Yeah.
If you had stopped the fight, then...
If I'd have stopped the fight, it could have been a different story altogether. Yeah.
My best man was the guy I was fighting with when I was 7 years old.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. But
over a girl as well.
No, it was over a plastic dinky toy.
Yeah. There was no plastic back then, Rob. You're lying.
Okay, Bakelite.
Exactly.
Bakelite.
Try and melt some of that down.
Bakelite. Oh, there are people out there that don't even know what that is, Rob.
I know.
It's like, what is Bakelite? Think
I
very
did
early
actually look into moving into Canada. Funny enough, I did look into it, but the whole points situation back then wouldn't have worked out. It was kind of, I wouldn't have been able to go. Well, I didn't have family, isn't that right, Rob? And when you move, you had to have a sponsor, I believe,
right,
didn't
yeah.
you?
It helped. You either need to be rich and have a job. Yeah. Essentially, Canada will accept you if you can do a job that no Canadian can do, which is ridiculous. But so you either got to have a ton of money or a job that no one else can do, or have a sponsor. So I personally had my mum and dad to sponsor me coming over. I was a dependent still at that time, so for me it wasn't an issue. But for some people, it is. I've got a cousin that moved over. They went through issues. Steve would have had the same problem too. So, although I'd have sponsored you, mate.
Not at the time, you wouldn't have.
Well, I will now.
Well, get the kettle on.
You and your 5 kids. Come on, and the wife. 7 kids. 5, 7. No, you're only bringing 5.
No, it's only 2 now.
I could really make the Canadians look bad at the moment, but I'm not going to do that. It's like you can add and subtract, can't you? There's a skill they don't have. Anyway,
yeah, really, eh?
Yeah. We definitely need to get you two together again at some point.
Oh, it's going to happen. Don't worry.
Oh, well, there's a good chance
Dun, dun, dun.
that I'm coming to England this year. Bum, bum, bum.
You're coming to Maker Central?
I would love to, but I don't think it's going to be Maker Central. I think it's going to be a little bit later in the year, maybe August. So get the kettle on, Steve.
It's on.
So what's the occasion for that potentially? I mean, presumably that's
Come to
not
see me,
around.
innit?
No, it's just my wife told me, that's all.
Oh, right, okay. I'm just doing this and told. I've no idea.
I've been told I've got to go to England. It's funny because she makes if I make a decision like that, I get the look. You know that look?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If she makes a decision like that, it's like, okay, honey.
Yes, dear. Yes, dear.
Prime example is I'd like to go to North Carolina for the AAW meeting that they're having there in July. Well, for me, it's a $500 flight, and then the other costs involved as well, but because it's not as far. But yeah, I got the look when I mentioned that.
Karen's got a very scary look, by the way.
Scares the shit out of me every day.
That's the idea. That's the easy way to live, though, for a bloke, isn't it? Just
in fear, yes.
Nod and agree.
Yeah.
So what got you? I mean, if you moved over to Canada when you were sort of in your late teens, 21. Sorry, in your early 20s. Then
I'm old.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything. You've been talking about Elvis for the last 20 minutes, so I'll let the listeners decide on that one, mate. What were you doing when you went over there for work? Are you doing the same job now or the same?
Essentially, yeah. Work, when I was in England, I had an apprenticeship to be an electrician, an industrial electrician. And when I moved to Canada, I got a couple of really crappy jobs, wiring houses, and the wage was really bad, actually. But eventually I got into the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, the IBEW local 773 union, and life's been great ever since. The wage is great, benefits, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, a little plug for my union, why not? But no, it's been good. Yeah, I'm still an electrician. It's been 31 years in the trade now.
So with all of them multicolored wires, and you're colorblind, am I right?
Pretty much, yeah. But nobody knows that.
They do now.
Yeah.
After 31 years, Jamie just destroyed Rob's career. Yeah. Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it.
Do you know what? That's okay. I'm at a point now where I get other people to do everything for me, pretty much.
It's kind of like, right, I don't go there.
It's just shades of grey.
Rob, you're fired.
It's how many shades of grey, and let's not go there either.
That's domestic electrical work, is it all that you're?
No, I do industrial.
So you're industrial side, so high voltage.
Yeah, 480 volts, 600 volts, 27,000 volts, things like that.
That's high
kill
voltage.
Yeah,
danger.
But I mean, right now I'm working at Hiram Walker's. You know Hiram Walker's? It's they make alcohol there. That's Johnny amazing. Walker's. You've heard of those? You've heard of booze, that whiskey stuff.
Oh right, yeah.
They make whiskey.
I'm not saying a word. Go ahead.
I could see you winking there, Chris. Bring me a bottle. Bring me a bottle.
Chris gets it piped directly into his workship.
That wasn't
you did say winking there, Rob.
That actually was me just trying not to fall over.
Chris has got it intravenous.
Chris is more into the.
That's what I was looking for earlier, Rob.
Intravenous alcohol. Talking of winking, Steve.
Yeah.
What you were referring to means something entirely different over here.
Oh, yes, I know. I found that out while I was over there, didn't I?
Yes. I mean, there are several words over here that mean one thing that means something else in England. Take cigarette for one thing.
Yeah.
We don't call them what you call them. Yeah, we don't call them that over here. That's something entirely different.
I think that's a North American thing, though, isn't it? I mean, it's not just Canada that has
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I was really confused when I was over in Canada and I saw this is a W bar. And I thought, that's going to be a very strange bar to walk in, to see a lot of gentlemen doing that in a bar. I don't want to do that.
Do you know what's even weirder than that? Was when I first come to Canada, this was in 1990 something. There was a poster in a school that I was working at, and it was hand drawn by one of the kids that was learning there, and it was for a festival that they were having, and it was W Fest. It was a W Fest. They have a festival for doing that.
I think you better explain to people that don't know what we're talking about what W's are in Canada.
Okay, so a rocker, you know, a heavy metal rocker is considered to be a W.
Wanker.
Yes, that's a heavy rocker over in Canada.
Thanks for breaking the ice there, Jamie.
So we can just come out and say, yes, it said Wankfest 97 in a high school.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, welcome to the masturbation bar.
It was something a little bit like that, but it was a little bit weird when I saw it. I had to bring a couple home and give them. My brother's got a bar in his basement, so there on the wall is this poster from I think it was 97. Yeah, Wankfest 97, but it means something entirely different.
That's quite almost fascinating. I find that genuinely. No, seriously, hear me out, Steve. Before you go off on one, that one description or one word can have such completely different meanings to different people.
It's crazy, yeah.
And actually, just kind of linking that back to when you guys were running off to Tenerife as kind of teenagers.
Yeah,
you probably did that thing where you went into the shops and picked up a bag of chips or a packet of crisps or whatever it was, and read the label and sniggered. You went, oh, look what these are called, because we've all done it on holiday with various.
I still do it.
Exactly. That's kind of the point. But I mean, I certainly did it as a teenager on holiday with my mates. But do you find that is, well, does anyone actually find that that's a thing when you're putting out videos, because you put videos onto YouTube as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Does that ever cross your mind that something that you might say completely innocent, because that's completely innocent the way you are, could potentially be, you know, not necessarily offensive, but taken completely the wrong way because somebody?
I must admit, in my videos, I tend to keep them fairly on an even keel. I don't say anything overly expressive or risky, I should say, risque or whatever.
Inflammatory.
Pretty freaking boring, really, if you ask me. But I know, I mean, Steve's out there and he's making a show for everybody. I've always been, between the two of us, Steve's always been the showman, and I've always been like, he's the prankster and I'm the straight man in the act. Do you know?
We're both straight, by the way.
Yeah, very straight. It was that one time
when Steve asked you for a fag,
Well, it's like my brother came over to Canada. He moved here in '95, and he smoked at the time. And we were at a bar somewhere, and he says, "Oh, I'm dying for a fag." I'm like, "Don't say that."
I find it quite amusing on the one hand and kind of mildly fascinating on the other, with that whole
language barrier.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. It's an interpretation thing, and actually it kind of dials back to, you don't have to be cross-border. You could be in the same street talking to somebody who you've grown up with all your life, and the words that you use have a different meaning to your best mate as they do to that guy walking down the street on the other side of the road.
Even Steve, when I hang out with Steve now, he'll come out with a lot of Irish stuff. You know, there are certain things he says too, and I think I just did it then, actually. You know, things like that. There's certain things he'll say that are very Sligo. You know, they're from where he's from. he picked them up there and he uses those expressions that he wouldn't have if he was still in Luton. And the same as me, I say certain things now that I wouldn't have if I'd stayed in Luton. Thank God I'm not there anymore. Yeah, really,
Yeah, like, okay. What are you doing, you hoser?
There's quite a bit of chat actually in the live chat about people talking about moving various places, and Steve from Moonshine Metalwork was apparently thinking of moving to Canada as well.
Well, yeah, but Steve's impression, I read that, because Steve's impression of Canada was the woods, the snow, and bears. And, and there is a certain aspect of that to Canada, but the majority of Canada, Steve, I've been to a couple of different places, it's not that. I mean, the majority of Canada and America, it really mirrors each other, because a lot of it, Canadians are not different from Americans very much at all, as far as the places that we live. You think Canadian, and if you're thinking of the guy with the axe on his shoulder with a big floppy ear thing over the top of his head and there's snow and woods behind him, it's only really to a certain part of Canada. That's not where I don't believe where Rob lives. Rob lives in Ontario.
I live in Woodsley, which there's woodland next to me, and a river behind me. No, it's not like that. This village is 100 homes maybe, and then 10 minutes down that way there's another 100 homes, and 10 minutes that way there's another 100 homes. Right. And then half an hour that way is Windsor, the big city, which is probably bigger than Luton, which is where we're from. Not as big as Toronto. Toronto is massive compared to anything around here. So no, I'm in the county and there's lots of farm fields and stuff, but to be honest, there isn't tons and tons of trees like there maybe was back in the day. And snow, we don't get the snow like we used to. I've had drifts, 4 or 5 foot drifts out back before, but not too much. But what were we saying? Canada, just remember this, guys. Women have the right to bear their
arms.
And it's a shame more of them don't pick up on that freaking right.
They should walk around the street, but there are some that not. There's some that shouldn't. So be thankful for that. And now, if you really want to, you have the right to smoke as well, if that's your thing.
That's because cannabis is now legal in Canada. It's one of
it is.
Is it now? I don't
rock.
It's like one of only 2 countries that have actually nationally legalized it or something of that nature, if I'm not incorrect.
I don't know of any other country, but I was surprised. I don't smoke cannabis myself, but there are a lot of people that do, that that I know that do, but it's not my thing. But why is it so bad? I'm sure it's not as bad as some other things.
Oh no, I'm sure it's not.
You never know. I mean, it's not my thing either. It never has been, but you never know. It could well be, just like in 50, 60 plus 100 years time, it might be one of those things where people look back and go,
that was ridiculous.
With prohibition in the US. We here in the UK and most of Europe, and I think Canada as well, everyone was getting lashed up left, right, and centre, and the Americans, it was dry.
That's right. Yeah.
Each to their own, as they say. So, I've only ever been to one place in Canada, actually, and the only reason I mention it is because you're talking about, it's not all about the trees and the bears and the woods. That is literally what it was for me. We landed at Goose Bay.
Oh yeah,
the airfield in Goose Bay.
That's further up north, though.
That's where. Yeah.
Literally, it was like one guy on the airport, and nobody seemed to see him. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. We had to get off this plane for some reason. Nobody actually knew. We just got off this plane, stood in this little metal shed on the side of the airfield in about minus 35 degrees Celsius with the 3 meter high bits of snow. You look like you were walking down an alleyway, but actually you were walking across a field that they'd driven a snowplow across, and it was like an alleyway of either side of snow.
Yeah,
for about 2 hours.
Well, you got to remember that this is like the biggest continent on the planet.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I can fly 8 hours to reach you in England, or I can fly 8 hours to reach the west coast of the same country that I'm in now.
When you put it like that, that kind of puts the size of this little island that we're on into sort of context.
Well, from Ontario to England would be about the same distance as Ontario to Los Angeles.
Yeah, the West Coast. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also England. Well, you could drop England into Lake Superior from the Great Lakes.
Yeah, you probably. You know what?
Don't you live in a big fancy country?
Well,
that's why they've got massive workshops, Steve. See, they don't think they're big, but it's because it's it's all. But they've got ponds in the back gardens bigger than we wouldn't even fit in our island on.
You obviously need to come to North America more often, Richard, because your perspective is a little skewed, my friend. I'm not quite sure about what you just said there. I don't think that's quite true. Could be wrong.
Got a couple of questions. The first one is boxers or briefs?
For me,
yeah,
boxers.
Right, there you go. That was easy enough.
Yeah,
that's good.
The second one is you just
Who
talked
asked that?
about.
Who asked that?
That's a standard question.
Okay.
It's a standard question, yeah.
And the other one is you were just talking about long distances. You and Steve obviously went on a long distance journey together, but got into a little bit of trouble along the way.
To Memphis.
Yeah. Do you two want to divulge into that? Because that's a very interesting story. Well, I think it is anyway.
We can do. It's nothing to do with wood turning, but we can do. Like we actually did talk about that a little bit on a YouTube channel that Steve set up for the two of us, but we never really finished it.
Yeah.
So did any of you hear anything about that?
No, Rob, because nobody subscribed to that channel, so don't worry about it. It's all right. So this is a brand new story. So let's move on.
Brand new story. Well, it's a long story. Like, where do you start with that now? Me and
Even
Steve,
the watered down version.
Oh yeah, I guess the points, the minutes. Steve came to Canada in 1996. It was July, kind of American Independence Day era, around then. And
God bless America.
Brandon, my first son, was still being cooked as such in the oven, and so we weren't parents. I wasn't a parent. Steve was. How many kids did you have in '96, Steve?
1.5,
15.
I think.
Anyway, long story short, Steve came over. We decided we were going to drive to Memphis to see Elvis. And I had, what was it, a 5-liter Mustang at the time, which a sport car, and it was a nice freaking car. So we drove down to Memphis, and it's so vivid in my memory, a lot of the stuff that happened. I mean, I can tell you certain songs that happened at certain points along the way as well. It's ridiculous. I mean, we were on the bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, listening to Johnny Cash playing A Boy Named Sue. We hadn't even got to the States yet. I remember that. And when we got to the stateside, we got pulled over. Do you remember?
Yep.
We didn't even get into the States and we got in trouble already. Jeez. We must look suspicious. So we got pulled over and we were stuck at the border. Anyway, we carried on. We got to Memphis without any real issues. And we pulled into the hotel and we got set up there. And then we decided to drive somewhere. I don't remember where. We pulled out of the hotel parking lot and I'm driving. The next thing you know, I got this bright freaking light in the back of my truck, the car, blinding us. Like, what the hell? We pulled over and it was a cop because I didn't have my headlights on. Like, scared the shit out of us. Do you remember that?
Turn your damn headlights on, boy.
Yeah. It's like, holy shit. Anyway, so it was already going south. We'd only just got there.
Well, at least you're going in the right direction.
Yeah. So anyway, we did all of the Memphis stuff. We saw Graceland and the museum and everything. It was awesome. We went down to Tupelo. So we did a lot of driving there. We went through Nashville. We did everything. And then we were there, I don't know how many days, maybe close to a week, I think. And then we're driving home and we were going to stop halfway, but we decided to just keep on driving because we're just driving, listening to music and having a good time. and it was dark. It was nighttime. We just said, let's just keep going. So we ended up getting lost a little bit, actually.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit. So we pulled over to get gas, and we trying to get directions, and they didn't understand me anyway. Somebody outside was chatting with Steve through the car window, and we just live over there. You want to come over and ask my uncle or whatever it was, and he'll tell you the directions. So very trusting. We drove over there, walked in the house. They offered us a beer, and we walked in and we're chatting away about this, that, and the other, and they start asking us some weird questions, and we're both looking at each other thinking, yeah, it's getting uncomfortable now. We should probably leave.
At this moment, we knew we fucked up.
Yeah. So they said, where are you from anyway? And we both said, England. Oh, before that, they said, what color are you anyway?
Oh,
what color?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me go to the paint department and start measuring up pallets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, look, I'm vanilla. Anyway.
That was one of the questions they asked us. What color are you anyway? It was pretty much obvious at that point we were in for trouble here. And then they asked us where England was, so we both jokingly went like that.
You've missed a little bit that I think is important, is the fact that during the conversation with this family, his family, we got offered drink, which we declined.
Well, they gave us a beer. We had a beer, but they also had a bottle of Coke and something. Which we both said, no, that's okay, because we kind of figured maybe they'd spiked it with something.
But also, the original guy there had obviously contacted his friends, and they'd arrived a bit later on. They'd come in the door a bit later on and joined the family. So there was three guys. I don't know what age at the time, but they were, they were pretty big guys, and as far as I can remember, I don't remember much of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but when we walked in the house, first off, there was this kind of heavy woman sitting on a chair with a baby. No TV. There was no TV in the house. It was a bit weird.
Where did they point all their furniture at then?
Us. Back a down. Like a down.
So whereabouts were you got lost then, roughly?
Okay, so we thought we were in. Hang on a sec. We thought we were in. We were in Kentucky, but we didn't think we were in Kentucky. If that helps.
You were probably in Tennessee.
No. We were. Where did we think we were? We thought we were in Ohio and we were in Kentucky. I don't know. We were somewhere we didn't think we were.
It was Austin, Indiana.
Austin, Indiana, but we thought we were in Kentucky. That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Indiana. You guys don't know how to read a map very well, do you?
Well, it wasn't so much that. If you go up the I-94, I think it's the I-94, there's a point where you get to a river and the road does this, or you can just go straight over that river. And it is the JF Kennedy Bridge or something. I think it's the JF Kennedy Bridge. And we went over that bridge, and I said, I don't remember going over this bridge on the way down. We kept on going, though. So anyway, we ended up we needed gas, and that's why we ended up pulling over and asking for directions. But by that time, we had gone through Kentucky, and we were now into Ohio,
Austin,
Indiana. So we pulled over at a Bigfoot gas station, and I bought gum and gas and asked for directions. I remember it was cinnamon gum. I remember everything. Like, my memory for that is like spot on, pretty much. So anyway, we're in the house.
Remember?
The minute we went, where's England? And we said that way, because like we're lost. Hello.
Thousands of miles from anyone.
Yeah. The minute we did that, they came in with fists pounding, and they separated us both. And I had glasses at the time. I wore glasses then. They're smashed on the floor, and I'm making my way for the door. a fairly stocky guy. I'm bulldozing my way to the front door, assuming Steve's kind of behind me, but he was way behind me. I'm now in the front room.
I'd been punched and knocked onto the couch. That's why I was behind you.
No, you're in the kitchen still. In the corner.
Yeah. See, I remember nothing.
Yeah, you're in the kitchen on the
You'll
floor.
find out why I remember nothing later.
But I mean, thinking about it now, I mean, we're lucky. They're in the kitchen. They've got knives. They got forks. They got whatever they want to grab. You know?
Why did they do this to you guys? What was the inspiration for them to get mad and start to?
I think it was their entertainment. They didn't have a TV. Yeah, I do. I think it was their entertainment, to be honest. And they wanted my car. They were going to take my car. So, but anyways, I got to the front room, hardwood floor, slipped over, fell over because I think they'd poured something on the floor. It was wet. Got to the front door, went to bulldoze through. It was locked. The guy's behind me smashing on me. I didn't realize he had a tire iron. He smashed it on my back with a tire iron. I turned around and I just freaking went at it, and I smashed him in the face, pushed him down, and then I turned around and then bust my way through the door down the street. I'm calling for help. He's back behind me again, and he says to me, he says, "You better get back on in there. Better get back on in there, buddy, or you're going to be dead, and then so is your." No, he says, "Your buddy's going to be dead, and then so are you." That's exactly what he said. So at that point, I'm standing there, and I'm so angry that I just want to beat the shit out of him. But he's standing there with a tire iron, you know? So I didn't know what to do. So I decided to back up, go around their truck. Oh, I'm sorry, go around my car to their truck, which was in front of my car. And I looked in the back of their truck, and I found a jack, like a 2-ton car jack. By this time, Steve has come through the door, and he's wedged in the deck. They'd kind of pushed him in. One guy had a bandana scarf wrapped around his throat, and he's holding a hammer.
I had 2 on me, by the way. Hello.
Yeah,
I had 2 on me.
Yeah, he had a hammer. He had a hammer, and he's trying to stove Steve's head in with a hammer. Steve's one hand is here, the other hand is on the hammer. So I think I got to do something quick, or it's not going to go good. So I got this 2-ton trolley jack, and I said to the guy, I says, "You better drop that, or I'm throwing this at you." Like, I don't know why I'm trying to give him a chance. Why am I giving him a chance? But he turned around to me, and I don't know what he said, but I threw that thing at him, hit me in the chest, went down him. He let go of the hammer. Steve's now got the hammer and turns to the other guy, who backs off. That guy runs in the house. I think the other guy was coming from behind me with the tire iron, and Steve's got the hammer and went boom. Went straight in the guy's side. The claws of the hammer went in the guy's side. He went,
fucking A, it did.
He went down, and I'm not sure then Steve kind of lost it, and he went to the house. He pulled the light fixture off the house and threw it through the window, and I'm like, "No, let's go."
I wasn't right. I had been in the kitchen. I had my kneecap smashed with the hammer. I had my arm ripped open with the claw of the hammer. I'd been hit across the jaw. Red line
around your neck.
I'd been throttled by the bandana, and when they'd stopped swinging the hammer and realised that I had quite a good grip. At the time, I was a plumbing and heating engineer, so I had a really good grip, and I didn't give a fuck how many times he hit me with the hammer, with the fist. I wasn't going to get hit with that hammer again. So I had the hammer. But he managed to get it off me, and then he held it with the claw and the hammer like this and just swung my jaw. So I'd been smacked 2 or 3 times around the back of the head and across the jaw. So I didn't know what I was doing. I blacked out. I don't even remember coming out the door with the 2 guys. I don't remember any of that. I don't remember from the kitchen onwards. I don't remember any of it. To this day, I don't.
So I'm trying to drag Steve away. I've dropped my car keys, and I haven't got my glasses, and I had bad eyes. I'm dragging Steve away from the house, and we're going down the street. And I'm like, we got to find someone to help us, get the cops here, do something. We've got to get help. So we went around the corner, by which time we heard something getting smashed. That was my car.
Oh,
we get to this house just around the corner, and there's a guy standing at the front of his house with a shotgun pointed at us. And we're like, he goes, what did he say? What's all this noise about? I said,
no, he mentioned blood. Something about blood.
No, before that.
Was it? All right. Like I say.
Yeah. He said he wanted to know what all the noise was because he could hear it over his fireworks. It was July 4th weekend, right? American Independence Day. So he wanted to know what all the noise was. And we quickly explained, we're just trying to get home. We're just trying to get directions. These guys attacked us, yada, yada. Anyway, he says, come on in. I've already called the cops. They're on their way. So we're now going into this house with this guy with his shotgun. Anyway, so now we're in the house. His wife's there, and they've got 1 or 2 kids there as well, if you remember. And they give us a glass of water each, and we're sitting there. We hear the cops arrive. He's talking to us, trying to find out what happened exactly. And I said, Steve, we need to get back to the house. I don't want to, but we need to, because otherwise it's going to look like we've done a runner. We got to go back to the house. So we both thanked the guy and we went back to the house. I don't remember if he was with us or not. I don't recall that. We got back to the house, and at that point they're pulling these guys out away from the house. They've separated them. There was 2 or 3 cop cars there. They've separated these guys. One was in the house and one was in 2 different cop cars. As soon as we got there, they realized we were involved and they separated us. They took Steve in the house and they're questioning him. And I'm standing on the deck outside and they're questioning me. Now, one thing I didn't mention was earlier on, the guy said where we'd been. We said Memphis, we're Elvis fans, and, you know, and then somehow the guitar came up and everything. So I ended up bringing the guitar in the house at one point, and we had a little strum with the guitar as well. You remember that?
Nope.
Yeah. Well, and I went out of the house, leaving you in the house on your own, which blows me away. That would have been their opportunity. So anyway, the guitar was back in my car. So I left the house twice, leaving Steve on his own in the kitchen with these guys. And I don't know why they wouldn't have done something then. That just blows me away. Hey?
Thanks for that.
Well, again, we were only 7, and what could happen?
There you go.
Oh boy.
So anyway, I'm on the deck being questioned, and he's asking me about this bag of drugs. He's got this marijuana in a bag, and he says, you were here buying drugs from these guys. We know. And I says, I know what you're talking about. I says, I don't do drugs. And I said, why are they singing in there? He says, what do you mean? He goes, why the fuck are they singing in the house? Why this? He says, you've been hit on the head once too many, boy. And nobody's singing. But I swear to this day, I could hear Steve laughing and singing and playing the guitar in the house, which I think, I've been hit in the head. With
I can't play the guitar.
I've been hit in the head with a crowbar, tire iron. What do you want? So anyway, he was convinced, I guess, that I hadn't been taking drugs or buying drugs or whatever.
I don't know how.
They try to push that on me, and they try to push it on you as well.
Yeah.
And you were adamant against that stuff, so that wasn't even a question. They ended up taking those 3 guys to the jail, the local jail. And I remember the guy that was attacking me. His name was Joe, and he was from Kentucky apparently, and he was about 19. And how old would we have been? 21, something like that. No, 24. Yeah. Anyway,
24. Yeah.
So anyway, but they're big freaking guys, big kids. So they're at the jail now, and basically the cops took us back to this guy's house. We took my car to this guy's house, where the guy with the shotgun, and he said he gave me his truncheon. What do you call it over here?
Baton, maybe.
Yeah, like a baton.
Nightstick.
It was a retractable steel thing with a big ball on the end of it. Mm-hmm. He said, you take that and take it out on your windshield, because you have to smash a hole in your windshield because you've got to drive it to so-and-so, whatever. So there I am smashing a hole in my windshield with his freaking truncheon or whatever, baton. And then he says, right, if you follow me, we're going to go and find a hotel for you guys to stay in for the night. So we're driving.
Seymour was the name of the town. Seymour.
No, that was the next day.
Oh, right. Okay.
That was the next day. So we're still in Austin, Indiana. We're trying to find a hotel, but they're all fully booked. Right. They're all fully booked. We're not taking anybody from you cops. Like, who are these troublemakers?
Austin, Indiana is fully booked. I'm doubting
right.
that. Yeah, I'm doubting that. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, they end up saying, well, we can put you in a jail cell for the night.
Yoo-hoo!
So, yeah, we ended up, I got the top bunk.
Steve slept in the cupboard above your head.
Yeah,
I shared with the janitor.
You know what? The janitor, they said, do you guys want to take a shower or anything? And Steve, I don't think you did take a shower. But,
hell no, I didn't. Not after the fucking 2 days I just had.
Yeah, no,
who knows what's going to happen when I get naked? I mean, I'm not doing that.
No way. I was picking
not so much as taking my shoes off.
You know, there's a story there too. I did take a shower, but while I was getting ready for the shower, the janitor walks in. I'm like, "What are you doing, dude?" He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." Anyway, I got naked, went and took a shower, come out, and my watch was gone.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
no shit.
I had a gold watch, black face, that one of my girlfriends from before then had given to me for my birthday in '87, and the watch was gone.
Welcome to Indiana.
Fucking stole it, didn't he, the bastard? Anyway, we ended up sleeping the night in the jail cell, and it would have been about 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. We got a tap on the door.
Sleep.
No. We got up the morning. He goes, right. He says, you better get to a glass repair store right away, because you're going to get pulled over again, and then you're going to go through the ringer again and try and figure out, from there. So anyway, we ended up trying to find somewhere, but it was too early. Everything was closed in Austin. So we drove out of the town, and we found a place called Seymour, Indiana. So we pulled into a gas station and tried to ask them where we could get our car fixed. And they're all like looking at us because we got blood on our shirts and my glasses. I think I had one of my glasses on. Like,
I drove.
Did you?
I drove because you couldn't see, and my knee was completely busted. And have you ever tried changing gear on a shift 5 litre?
Oh. Well, not only that, they broke
the Mustang.
They broke the seat, so the back of the seat was bust.
Yeah,
and it's got a pretty stiff clutch on that thing. Yeah. So we pulled in. We're asking for directions. The guy said, "Yeah, go to this place, some glass repair store in town." So we drove there, and we drove up and walked in. Started asking about this, that, and the other, how long it would take. They made some phone calls, and we ended up sitting there watching the TV and just kind of zoned out for a little bit. Next thing you know, 3 guys show up, completely different guys.
You couldn't write this, I tell you.
We didn't know who these 3 guys were, but they showed up, and they've got like shirts on, Jesus loves you and all this stuff. And they couldn't have picked 2 less religious people that were really pissed off at that moment, than they would have been anywhere. So they're trying to offer us help, and we're like, no, it's okay, no, we're just going to sit here and wait for the car to get fixed, and then we're leaving. So they're like, oh no, we're really sorry, you've got a bad impression of America, and we want to help you. And so they said, we want to give you a car for the day and then set you up in a hotel for the day so you can relax, and then we'll call you when your car's ready, and we'll give you some vouchers for the Cracker Barrel so you can get some food and everything else. There's a guy I know that will get your glasses fixed. So, anyway, we're like, okay, whatever, just take us, whatever. So we ended up, they took us outside. They gave us the keys to a car. We drove to the hotel. The Cracker Barrel was next door. We got some food. We went to the place and got my glasses fixed. And then we sat, and do you remember we filled the tub up? There was a jacuzzi, a big jacuzzi thing in the room. So we both sat in this jacuzzi with a video camera, and there's footage.
There is.
And we discussed this whole thing that had happened. So it was freaking hot in there too. I remember I was sweating.
We debriefed. It was a big debrief without even knowing we were debriefing.
No, we had briefs on.
Yeah.
It may have been white fronts at that time. Not sure.
It wasn't boxers anyway.
I don't think it was boxers. Anyway, so we're sat in there talking about this thing in front of the camera. And then we just chilled for the rest of the day, and then we got a phone call to say the car was ready. We drove back to the garage to get our car. These guys met us there, and they said, right, if you can just, well, first of all, they paid for the repairs as well.
That's nice of them.
I think it was like 900 or 1200 US, somewhere in that ballpark. They had to get the glass, the windshield, from Indianapolis. So it came from Indianapolis to Seymour, Indiana, and then it took them whatever it took them to get it done. And then these guys paid for the whole repair. They fixed the seat and the windshield and the side glass, the door glass. And then they said, if you can just help us get these cars back to our church. So one of us drove my car, one of us drove their car, and then they had their vehicle as well. We drove back to their church. At this point, we stopped there and we're thanking them and everything else. They wanted to have a little circle and pray for these guys that did this to us. Well,
I didn't want to pray for the guys that just did that to us, by the way.
No, neither of us did. I see where they were coming from, but from our perspective, not so much. They're seeing these guys obviously are in a bad place, bad upbringing, bad lifestyle, bad choices, and bad people. Like they haven't got much good in their life, obviously. So that's why they're making the choices they're making. They got no regard for anything, for anybody else. So they need help, right? They're the people that need the help because they shouldn't have done that in the first place. And that was where they were coming from a religious standpoint, right? But from our standpoint, they were assholes, you know? So anyway, they gave us this book each and a cassette tape. I think they gave us a Bible and this cassette tape. And the cassette tape was some mafia guy from way back when that reformed himself in jail and became something better than he had been brought up to be. So, and then that was it. Basically, we drove away from that, like looked at each other in the car and like, did that just freaking happen?
And then we thought, well, we're Rob and Steve. Of course it did.
Of course it did. So, of course, we got back to Canada the day that we were expected anyway, right? Because we were going to drive through the night. We were intending to be there the day we got back anyway. Basically, we pulled into the house and, you know, now we've got to explain all this shit to the family, my pregnant wife and my parents and my brother and everything else. And we sat down and we talked about it. We showed them the video that we'd made while we're sitting in the jacuzzi tub, whatever, the whirlpool thing, whatever it was. And because it explained it as good as anything did. I mean, we were still kind of in disbelief that this thing could even have happened. Like, you know, who does this happen to? Like, the cops said, you guys are lucky they didn't have guns or knives because normally they do. These guys are bad guys.
Mm. Yeah,
so,
you're lucky.
You know, you'd have been dead in a ditch, you know. And that car, no one's looking for that car.
No.
So,
Welcome to America. Welcome to America, guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, and that was basically it.
See, when I go to America, I destroy that.
Yeah.
Jimmy destroys things when he comes to America. He does the opposite of what you guys did. That's an incredible story. I mean, I'm actually sorry that happened to you guys, but but if it didn't happen to you, I wouldn't have been entertained for the last 30 minutes. So
that was the short version.
So thank you for that. And if that was the Cliff Notes version of it, then I don't want to hear the long one, okay? Because it's gonna make me feel bad.
Yeah, well, and also I decided to take the rest of the week off work, and I ended up getting fired.
So to top it all off, you then got fired.
Yep,
I
got fired.
That's a great week right there.
On a happy note, Brandon got a wicked, kick-ass, awesome mural up on his bedroom wall for when he was born.
Yep.
Because I spent the time recuperating, painting all the Disney characters walking up to the Disney castle across the wall.
Wow,
that was cool.
I didn't know Indiana was such a rough place to live, but wow, yeah. Okay. Well, you just said, "Welcome to the world of rednecks, boys."
Yes.
How are you?
Heath Knuckles from Indiana, doesn't he live in Indiana?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Heath.
Well, for years,
I think Heath was actually one of the guys.
Okay.
For years, it was a
He was
story
about
that
8
me and
years
Steve-
old.
that me and Steve shared, but I never looked into it to find out where we actually went wrong. And I forget when it was, but at some point I thought there must be more to this that I haven't even realized myself. And I looked at the maps and I figured out where we were and where we should have been. And I realized that we'd messed up and we had continued driving when we should have turned off. And that was our bad. That was our mistake. And if we'd have gone the right direction, it would have never happened. But there it is.
Life's all about fucking shoulda, woulda, couldas.
Yeah, exactly. Well, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not so good. But
it's all turns in the road. But this is the thing. Look at it this way. You went through a rather eventful couple of days, shall we say?
It's like harrowing.
But had you made that turn, it could have been something else. It could have been. There could have been a drunk driver coming the other way, or there could have been a bridge out, or you just
you never know.
Animal going across the road.
Real final destination shit. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You never know. So you got to enjoy every minute.
Well,
Yep.
Given the circumstances,
and don't ask for directions.
I guess we best start wrapping this up now because we're about over 15 minutes gone.
Well,
I think we'll go with that though tonight. Actually, to be honest, because that was an awesome story.
Well, I'm Rob, and I'm a wood turner as well.
No, we didn't even get to the wood turn. I wanted to talk about wood turn. We didn't even get there. That's just mental.
Oh, we can have Rob back on with Steve anytime. I mean, this has just been very entertaining.
He also stocks Yorkshire Grit over in Canada as well.
In Canada, I sell Yorkshire Grit and Hampshire Sheen products, and I'm hoping. And we're looking at Temple Boy turning products soon. As soon as he gets his arse in gear, and that thing speeds up a little bit.
Awesome.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. And to be honest, I didn't think it was going to be as interesting as I don't think I'm that interesting. But
to be honest, I thought exactly the same.
Well, thank you for the surprise, Rob. Definitely. I mean, wow. And what more is there to say than just, sounds like you're lucky to be alive. And that means that we're lucky to have Steve with us. Anyway, well, I'm glad you came out the other side the right way. We are 20 minutes over now. Thank goodness I don't have to edit this. I've got a funny feeling that I probably won't get the audio first thing in the morning like I normally do from Chris.
Yeah,
but
sorry, Chris.
Not happening.
But that it is what it is. So this week you get a slightly longer, more interesting story. So if you are still listening live with us, thank you for listening. If you're not, we'll say what we like about you. We won't bother doing the shout outs, but we do all have shout outs. So go and have a look in the description and the shoats for those, because there's some pretty cool people that we just don't have time to shout out. Chris, Jamie, Steve, Rob, anything more you want to add to the show? Rob, I would want people to know where to find you. So if you would just quickly plug yourself, etc., before we run off.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Facebook. I'm on Instagram, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing there. I've also
with Chris.
Welcome to the club.
I've also got my own website, www.worsleySummercraft.ca, where you can find the products. But really, I only sell to Canada, not the rest of the world. I'm pretty kind of isolated to this massive land here. But no, I appreciate you guys having me on.
It's been absolutely awesome. So Steve, Chris, Jamie, do you have anything that you have to add desperately into the end of the show, or should we leave it there?
No, I've done my Jamie's page right at the start of the show.
There you go. Awesome. Well, you know what? I got nothing to say except have a great week, everybody.
Absolutely.
Everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Happy New Year, Richard.
Hippie-doodle!